we have a new gameplay walkthrough of a game developed by Rebel Wolves, which was established by veteran devs of The Witcher 3. And this is pre-beta gameplay footage, so a lot of things will change in the future. This game casts you as Cohen, who is a human witch by day and a vampire spawn by night, each with their own playstyle and abilities. You can view the game as Witcher-like, but with more of a gothic and vampiric twist. Combat in this game is an interesting twist between the Witcher's flowing movements and spells, as well as Kingdom Come Deliverance's swordplay that relies on directional positioning for parries and attacks, which I absolutely love. The devs commented on the fact that they actually learned real sword stratagems, as well as having actual trained swordsmen in the team to ensure the combat in Dawnwalker would be phenomenal. In the trailer, we get a peek at some of the abilities that we would have access to. Daytime Cohen, you use hexes to debilitate your enemies, but first you need to charge up a hex meter to spend on those spells. With the radio wheel pop-up akin to Dragon Age Origins, you can select your hex and immediately cast it on your enemies. We were first shown the acid dust hex that Cohen threw at the enemy in the beginning, showing the capability for us to crowd control the enemy, giving us a lot of options to deal with large groups, which I do find weird that you are required a hex charge to use this kind of skill. I imagined it would have just been an item we could use anytime, which would make sense to me, but whatever. Then we were shown the burning blood hex to burn your enemy's skin, as well as the artery attack hex, which has a chance to decapitate the enemy. I do wonder if the lower the health your target has, the higher the chance you can decapitate them. Maybe. They mentioned there are a few more abilities that we can have access to, and I'm pretty excited to find out what they are in the future. It's noted that health does not replenish on its own. You'll have to either eat some food or drink a potion. And since a few hex abilities require blood to activate, you will have to strategize and judge the best timing to use them if you plan to at all. Now, Nighttime Cohen combat is vastly different because he does turn into a vampire with a lot more abilities, mobility, and mechanics to think about. Starting with combat for Vampire Cohen, he has access to these disgustingly long fingernails that he can use in lieu of his sword, and you still will use the directional positionings with your claws. Of course, you can also still use the sword if you want instead of his gross hands. Not much was mentioned in the video in terms of special abilities or skills, but I can assume you will be able to suck the blood of your enemies to restore health and actually use your blood to attack enemies at some point. But more on that when it's actually confirmed. In this portion of the video, we also get a sneak peek at a boss with mechanics that you have to be aware of. For this one in particular, they have a shield that prevents you from dealing any significant damage, and to get rid of it, you need to stun the boss to give you a chance to hurt them. Then they also have a meter under their health, which denoted a countdown for the Boiling Blood skill, which is a one-hit kill on you if you let it reach completion. I do like bosses that have special mechanics for you to juggle, on top of the usual parry, hit, and dodge gameplay. It makes combat less repetitive and more refreshing if they manage to make unique mechanics for each boss. I should also note that you don't have to fight this kind of boss here, completely optional. In fact, they say that this boss is more of a late game boss, which is way too tough for the current mid-game Cohen here. But the option is there for you if you want to tackle the boss here or not with a sort of power gap. So let's talk about the exploration abilities next. First, we have the Shadow Step, which is reminiscent of the Blink ability from Dishonored, allowing Cohen to teleport a certain distance away, like from one rooftop to another. Plane Shift is another ability that allows him to alter physics to his benefit, such as being able to walk on walls or ceilings, opening up a whole new world of potential routes to objectives other than the usual path. And there might be potential for more mobility options at night that they haven't mentioned yet, such as turning into a bat to fly around the city, as an example, like the power you unlock in V Rising, allowing you to quickly travel to different locations with ease. On the topic of Cohen's vampire form, you will notice in the gameplay footage that his health bar tripled in size and it was nearly empty. That's because his health at night doubles as his hunger bar, meaning you will need to find a source of blood, either through a human NPC, a creature, or vile blood you can hopefully craft and carry around. The blood draining mechanic is pretty interesting as well because it gives you the option to stop drinking halfway or fully drain the creature or human, killing them in the process. You can for sure just kill all the NPCs you drink from, but this game being a narrative sandbox, there is a chance you can lock yourself out of a questline this way. This also makes keeping your hunger gauge up very important, because if you let it drop too low, Cohen would lose his mind and end up killing an NPC without you being able to do anything. And if that NPC turned out to be someone you needed to turn a quest into, well, that sucks. The UI is pretty simple right now, but very clean. Again, there's pre-beta footage, so they can potentially change everything we're seeing. The inventory is nothing to write home about, but as long as I can see and understand what I'm looking at, I'm happy. Same with the skill window, simple and clear. Look at the skill window a bit more. It looks like we'll have 4 different trees to play around with. The human tree buffing our abilities, the hex, and possibly some other quality of life options that we can improve for our daytime form. The shared tree is obviously what it sounds like, maybe some health or stamina improvements, something along those lines. Vrakiri perks is what I assume is the vampire tree, buffing and quality of life options like human tree as well. And finally, the active ability tree, which I assume is all the abilities we can have access to, which they did not show us. They never showed any special abilities in the vampire form, so I wonder what sort of tricks we can pull later in the game, other than the long fingernails. Dawnwalker is using Unreal Engine 5 to craft a world, and I have to say it looks extremely good so far. Yes, UE5 is known for being the best, but it takes a good craftsman to make good use of a tool, and the developers here definitely are doing this engine justice. The forest area before the city is filled with foliage and trees and wildlife just running around everywhere. I love how seamless it is going from the open area into town with no loading screens, which is fantastic. Inside town, you will see streets filled with NPCs walking around and interacting with one another. Guards harassing beggars, innkeepers kicking out alcoholics, more guards banging on doors trying to arrest someone. The liveliness of the NPCs is very well crafted, and I do wonder how in-depth each NPC will be. Do they loop the interactions? Do they have a couple of different actions they do that change every day? Maybe their routines change when you move forward with the main quest. Sky's the limit. NPCs aside, I like how the town looks. It looks lived in, very detailed, with a lot of secrets in every corner. Finally, let's talk about quest and story progression. You may have noticed the timer on the top right of the screen in the gameplay footage, as well as the quest of the Blood of Dawnwalker, having a 22-day countdown. What the developers wanted to do with time is to use it as a resource. Don't be afraid of this. They mentioned that this countdown only ever gets pushed forward whenever you complete certain quests, and you will be warned whenever the timer is about to shift, so you won't be surprised. This means that any exploration or side content that you want to do before the main quest will be possible without you failing the main quest due to wanting to clear the map of its markers. I don't hate this time mechanic, but also don't find it necessary. I will wait and decide whether or not this mechanic is truly worth it whenever I play this game for myself. Now, this game is touted as being a narrative sandbox, which I mentioned before. This means that you have the freedom to tackle quests in any way that you want. You can help people who can in turn help you with your main quest to storm the castle, or you can piss people off so much that they can threaten your mission in the end. You can also just head straight to the castle right away and deal with the vampire lord if you so wish. I love this sort of freedom. This is Baldur's Gate 3 levels of quest progression, meaning you can have a near limitless amount of ways to tackle any objective, and I love that. This makes any and all playthroughs you do be completely different from one another. But that's pretty much everything I gleaned from the gameplay walkthrough. Let me know what you guys think of the game. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you saw, and I'll see y'all in the next one. See ya.